Coming up next on All About Android, it's me, Jason Howell, and my friend Ron Richards. We're just hanging out tonight, doing some news, doing a lot of feedback. Yes, we've got a ton of your email. Plus, we talk about the Pixel feature drop and kind of a wider Android feature drop. Android 12 for Android TV and Google TV is here. Pixel repairs are exposing a serious privacy invasion. That's something you need to hear about there. Razer has a new Qualcomm handheld gaming system that's really interesting. And it's Pixel Watch. All that and more coming up next on All About Android.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Hover. Whether you're a developer, photographer, or small business, Hover has something for you to expand your projects and get the visibility you want. Go to hover.com/twit and get 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension for the entire first year. And by AT&T. It's 2021. There are self-driving cars, plant burgers, and tourists in space. The least your phone could do is stream without lag. You should get AT&T 5G. AT&T 5G is fast, reliable, and secure. It makes downloading entertainment, staying connected, and protecting your device easy. Make sure your phone service keeps up with what you need from it. Get AT&T 5G. It's not complicated. 5G requires a compatible plan. May not be in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details. And by userway.org. Userway ensures your website is accessible, ADA compliant, and helps your business avoid accessibility-related lawsuits. The perfect way to showcase your brand's commitment to millions of people with disabilities. It's not only the right thing to do, it's also the law. So go to userway.org/twit for 30% off Userway's AI-powered accessibility solution. Hello and welcome to All About Android. This is episode 554, recorded on Tuesday, December 7th, 2021. Your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Ron Richards. How you doing, Jason?
I would prefer that you refer to me by my real name, Dobie Gillis. Maynard Gillis, as they know me. Before the show, you threw out that reference, and I looked it up, and I was like, "Wait a minute! You're not the first person to tell me this. This like hair growing on my chin makes me look like that guy from what was the show? It was
the Adventures of Dobie Gillis. Was it? It's an old 50s. It might have just been called Dobie Gillis. I think it might have. The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis. That's what it is.
And then Gilligan's Island. Right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Same guy? Is this the same guy? Or is it different?
Yeah, Bob Denver, different character, obviously.
Okay.
But yeah, The Many Loves of Dobie Gillis was on CBS from September 1959 to June 1963. And a supporting cast member was the talented Bob Denver, who played Maynard G. Krebs, I believe. Yeah, and he was Jazz Guy. And
Jazz Guy.
He had a goatee.
Comes full circle because I had somebody else tell me I look like a jazz guy with my hair that seemingly just grows like jazz guy's hair does.
Maynard, here, wait a minute. I have a link that Burke can show everyone from our good friends at Wikipedia. It's in the doc link.
Okay, there we go.
Yep. So
there we go.
Those of our friends who are watching the video show will see at some point the actor Bob Denver, and he's got a lovely little goatee, similar to our good friend Jason after his Movember. There he is in the upper right-hand corner.
Now, I wonder if that's just what grows and nothing else grows on his face, because if so, then we share a lot in common. Well, thanks. Now I think I'm even more convinced that maybe I need to shave this stuff off, if that's the comparison.
I am not going to make a comment.
I'm also kind of just having fun letting it be. Yeah. So we'll see how long I last.
Talk about having fun letting it be. As everyone can see, it's just Jason and I tonight. We're flying solo. We wanted to spend a little time going over all the greatest Android news and deal with a lot of your feedback. But before we get started, just a few hours ago before the show, one of the fine Android faithful tweeted at both Jason and I with the realities of living as an Android user in the world. And so, Burke, if you can pull up the tweet in the doc from one Nick Miller, good friend of mine and yours, Jason. We can share this. really drawn out, hope it pays off, humorous moment. And there he shows you the things he tweets at us, the things we do for love, living with a spouse that uses iOS. And it's a picture of his car, and he has he has a humorous fake license plate on the front of his car that says "House Divided," and one side is the Apple logo, one side is the Android logo,
and a torn piece of paper that in between them. Oh, so hard, so rough. Which is a good commentary on what it's like to be an Android user in a household with other iOS users. Although my wife uses an iPhone. We got nothing on our car. We're making it work. So, Nick, I hope everything's okay at home. We hope you guys pull through. I know this could be rough, but you can do this.
You can do this.
Yep. Yeah, my wife uses Android. I use Android. So, I mean, we've got Android all throughout the home, at least for our mobile devices, for the smartphones and stuff. That's all we got. So I don't feel your pain on a first-hand basis, but I can understand what it might be like to live, as you put it, in a house divided. Yeah. Thank you for sending that in, Nick. So this week, there's some news, and we're definitely going to talk about news. Like Ron said, we've got a lot of feedback because you guys had a lot to say. So let's do the first half of the show, which is the news.
Bringing you a bag of consistency and awesomeness. This is Android News.
All right. That works. And we even got the foldable bumper. Love it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it. There's some variability there. I like it.
Yep. All right. So first up, straight out of the news bucket, Google announced new features coming to Android for the holidays. There you go. Happy holidays, everybody, from Google.
So festive.
A special delivery that includes Family Bell gets integration into Android with notifications appearing on the device, as well as speakers and hubs, and also new holiday-themed bell sounds. Jason, Family Bell is something that you utilize in your family, right?
Yeah, but when I saw this news, I was like, well, wait a minute. Family Bell was already on the phone, and now I kind of understand like the difference, right? Like you could manage your Family Bell on the device from the beginning through Assistant settings on your device. That's how I set up all of our bells a year and a half ago when Google rolled this out for our Google Home speakers and Nest Hub devices and everything. Now I think what the change is there's more integration with the phone. So if I'm setting up a Family Bell, yes, my Google Home in the room will announce, with that holiday themed alarm or whatever I choose, that this thing is occurring. But now I can also get that alarm on my phone. I get kind of like more of an emphasis of a notification on my phone that says, hey, now is the time to do that thing, which is an extension of the feature set. So we use this all the time. I'm looking forward to this.
And Family Bell is something that I shared with my wife, and she said, yeah, we won't be using that. So
Why? I'm curious.
She just doesn't want things going off and maybe when they're older, she said, but right now.
Maybe when they're older. So, okay. All right. Yeah, exactly. Fair enough. We'll see. It is a little obnoxious when it goes off, especially the ones in the early morning. Like we have one before the girls go to school, at like 7:45, we have an alarm that goes off every day because we have to submit a health check. We have to let them know, do they have a fever? Do they have blah, 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 whatever. Right. And so it goes off, and 7:45 just feels kind of early in the morning to get like a alarm that suddenly, sounds throughout the entire home. It kind of wakes you up.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of which, and there's some more to go through, but on a side, one of my friends who also is the parent of a toddler similar age as my kid, 2 going on 3, posted on Facebook the other day looking for help if anybody, because apparently now her daughter knows how to talk to the Google Home and is asking it to do things, requesting, and she put one in the kid's room and it's distracting it from naps, and how do you make it stop? And I just wrote, I'm like, turn the mic off. Yeah. And she's like, oh my God, I didn't even know you could do that. I was like, yes, you could do that.
There you go.
So it was a nice little moment of Google Home advice that I can provide. So, all right. So that said, the other holiday goodies that Google is giving us all are new widgets. Google Play Books, YouTube Music playback controls, finally. Google Photos, People and Pets widget, and you select faces to display in the widget. So that's nice to have some new widgets there. They're also rolling out lock and unlock compatible cars, starting with select BMWs, and compatible with the Pixel 6 series and the Galaxy S21, but only with NFC at launch. Eventually UWB support, meaning the device can stay in the pocket and you don't need to tap the door of the car, which would be useful. Yep. Fair. And then permissions auto reset rolls out to more devices and Android 6 and up. And finally, new emoji kitchen combos in Gboard beta. So if you ask Santa for more emoji on your Google keyboard, you got it. So merry happy holidays. So.
Squishing this emoji with that emoji to make a brand new emoji. That's what Emoji Kitchen is all about, a feature that I've never once used. Which is not to say that it's not a good feature. It's just not something that I ever think to pull out and jump through. But I like the locking and unlocking compatible cars. That's a pretty cool feature. That'll be really nice when we get to the point to where our phones can do this, like on a wide scale 10 years from now.
When it's in your pocket, that's what's even better. It's not so much the having to tap the whatchamacallit, the car door, but it being in your pocket just makes it so much sweeter. So yeah, that's really cool. So.
Indeed. And those are features for all Android devices. You also have heard us talk many times about feature drops for the Pixel phones, which is a kind of a touted feature that Google has around their Pixel devices, that every once in a while you're going to get a feature drop and suddenly your Pixel phone is going to get even better because it can do all sorts of new things. And we have one for this month that's tied in with the security update for Pixel devices. So if you have a brand new Pixel 6, you should be getting this update anytime. New features include conversation mode for the sound amplifier. This is an accessibility feature. This is like an expansion of the sound amplifier accessibility feature. It allows you to point your camera at a person who happens to be speaking to you or at you or whatever, and the app will amplify that person's audio. So it's almost like it clues in on the person that you're pointing the camera at. So that's kind of cool. That could be really useful. Now Playing, actually, like I've talked many times on the show, I'm a big fan of Now Playing. I think it's just kind of a cool ambient song identification feature that appears on your lock screen on Pixel devices. Now you have the ability to do a manual search, which I've had this happen where I'm somewhere and a song is playing and I pull up my phone to see if on the lock screen the Now Playing has identified it, and it hadn't. And, I experience a brain fart, and I don't think about the fact that there are plenty of other ways for me to identify that song. And so I don't do anything. Now I won't need to, because the manual search option will be built into Now Playing. So I can automatically, just say, hey, identify this song right here and trigger that. And then also, this is another feature that I thought was kind of lacking that needed to be integrated, and now it is for Pixel 4 and up, is the ability to favorite songs from the lock screen. Because there have been times where I'm somewhere and there's a song playing. I'm like, oh, that's a pretty cool song, and like, okay, great, it identified it. But the whole process of then unlocking my phone, going to YouTube Music, doing the search for it, pulling it up, adding it to, like, I'm just not going to do that when I'm out and about. But if I have the ability to go, oh, I like that, and then just like it from there, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, very cool.
I'll totally use that. What's up?
I was just going to say, go on. I'll wait till the end.
I felt like there was a burning something that you had to say there.
No, I was just thinking the Pixel drop. I mean, like these drops have to incentivize you to want the phone. They've got to be worth it for you. You know what I mean? Like to truly make it of value. So that's all. Yeah. Yeah, totally. And I'm not even certain that every time they do a Pixel drop, a feature drop, that it is, an incentive enough. It always kind of feels like little random bits and pieces, but I mean, maybe that's just a fact of the matter that our phones do so many things and they're updating all these different corners, of it. Adjusting the assistant long press duration, which doesn't affect me because I've switched to the power button being a power button and not an assistant summons button. Bass boost mode for Pixel Buds A series. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. Pixel 6 Pro. So if you happen to have the Pixel 6 Pro at launch, ultra-wideband was disabled. And with this update, it will be enabled. And so immediately that improves nearby share capabilities.
Just makes, connecting faster, makes it so that you don't have to like with like a Bluetooth. It's kind of similar to what we're talking about with the car, actually. Instead of having to tap the thing together, it's like being near each other is, a lot of times enough with UWB. And then finally, and we've all been waiting for this. I know, Ron, you have been waiting patiently for this last feature. Snapchat's quick tap to snap feature is finally here. You just tap on the back of your phone and you can snap away. You're welcome.
Finally, I gotta say, like, with all my rampant Snapchat usage with Flow, that's what I've been really hoping for. No, I don't use that.
So that's that. I don't know. Is this a good collection? Like, is this a feature drop worth touting to friends and saying, see, if you got a Pixel, you get all these kinds of things randomly?
I mean, again, it depends on what you want out of your phone.
What
it's a nice meaty drop with hopefully a lot of, for everybody. But like, conversation modes for sound amplifier is pretty cool. The now playing is pretty cool. I don't really care about the long press duration. Bass boost is pretty cool, like that. I mean, these are all pretty cool. But like Snapchat one, not cool because I don't use Snapchat. So like,
right. And if you don't have a Pixel Buds Series A, you're not going to care about that. If you have the Pixel 6 and not the 6 Pro, the UWB is not going to apply to you. You're not going to care about that. Yeah. Yep.
All right. Yep. All right. Well, moving on to more drops. From Google. This is Google Palooza this week. This is like Google Palooza Holiday Edition. That's what we got. Here. So Android 12 has now made its way to Google TV. But exactly where is the question? It's at least for the ADT3 developer device. And it gives the ability to block camera and the microphone system wide. The microphone indicator when in use similar to Android 12 devices. Of course, it's got a new boot animation. 4K rendering of the home screen for the first time, which is fascinating. And support for HDMI CEC 2.0, which gives better interoperability between HDMI devices because, oh man, that's a nightmare.
It can be.
Now, that said, Chromecast with Google TV is still running Android TV OS 10. So no word on when that will get updated, but at least you gotta assume it's on the horizon, right?
Indeed, yeah. Like, you gotta imagine that's like higher priority than almost anything because there aren't that many devices that are actually running Google TV right now. Yeah. That kind of seems like the premier device from Google, to kind of showcase Google TV.
It is, and so you'd think that they would roll it out with it. Kind of sooner than that. Who knows what the plan is? But also, as we've known, these devices have taken a long time to eke their way out into the world, right? So I'm not surprised by this. I'm just hopeful that it happens sooner rather than later as a Chromecast or Google TV user. So
yeah. I do think that it's good that they got the 4K rendering on the home screen for the first time, and that's like that was 1080p prior. Even if the content was 4K prior, you were still getting a 1080p home screen experience. Now they've elevated that, which let's be real, a lot of people aren't going to notice that, but some people are. So there you go. Yep. I think that made sense. So cool. And now this last story in this block. This is kind of interesting and a little, I don't know, a little freaky.
Interesting, for sure. Yeah.
2 separate cases of data leaking from Google's Pixel repair program that seemed to get a good amount of attention this last week. One person sent in a Pixel 5a for repair and then discovered that someone had gained access to her Google account and her Dropbox. I think she's actually a New York Times author. So she has a I guess a pedigree, is known online. So take from that what you will. But the damage to the phone actually prevented her from securely wiping the data off the device before sending it. So it was like her phone was so damaged that she couldn't get in and make any changes. Sent the device in. And at some point, once it was at the repair facility, or maybe it was intercepted somewhere before that, not really quite sure, a bunch of photos, including sensitive photos, were accessed. Adding insult to injury, Google said they never received the device and charged her for the replacement device. So that's kind of lame. But it's the second case that's also really troublesome. Involved a broken device that was sent into Google with an RMA. Again, the phone could not be powered on in this case, right? So the phone couldn't be wiped. Apparently, there was no password or PIN set on the device prior to it breaking. So that's a problem, right? There was no real security on the device. A few weeks later, photos, including nudes of the owner, were posted on her social media accounts. So suddenly her social media accounts show this intensely sensitive, photos of her. Her PayPal account was accessed. The hijacker attempted to lock the customer out of their Google account. When she used Find My Device, it tracked it to Texas, which is to the same building that the device was sent for repair by Google. So both of these actually were sent to Texas. So it kind of points to, at least in, it could be totally random, it could be total, random circumstance, but these two stories happening relatively close together indicate that there's at least some lapse in security or, privacy invasion with some of the devices that are sent in for repair via Google. And that's troubling.
Super troubling. I mean, it's the kind of thing where this is like the inherent trust with not just Google, but any manufacturer and that sort of thing, where, especially when you have a problem with it and you give the device to another place.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, Jason, but I've heard stories for years about reasons why not to use Best Buy Geek Squad to fix your computer or whatnot, because reports of people bringing their computer and the Geek Squad people just combing through hard drives and copying stuff off, and
right.
because it's just like these nerds with a little bit of tech knowledge who aren't as trustworthy or as nice as they should be, right? And there's so much sensitivity that we have on our devices, and it's like you trust whoever you're sending it to not do stuff like this. And this is just like oddly malicious, right? Like to access that information and then invade her social accounts and all this sort of stuff is crazy. It goes beyond just like someone sees an opportunity to like take some images or whatever and takes it, which is bad in and of itself. It goes the next step to saying, oh well, I've got these, check this out, poof, putting it on your social media is super, right. It's that next level. But either way, it's definitely a cautionary tale around like kind of like what you were saying. These devices, we hold so much of ourselves on them, regardless of like the photos that we have on there, like the information that we have on there, the things we write, like everything. And if you get keys to that kingdom, it opens up the keys for so many other things, whether you realize it or not. Your single Google account is interconnected with so many other things. The entire kingdom starts to crumble. So it's really a cautionary tale around like how we protect ourselves, how we protect that information. Like, in the case of this second story, was it the second story that didn't have the password or the PIN set on the device? Right. Yep.
These are things that we might not think about it, or we might think that's a nuisance. And I'm at home 90% of the time. Why do I really need to do that? No, I've never lost my phone, so it's not going to matter. But then once it happens and you find yourself in a situation where everything you have and know is on this device, but you can't get in because it's broken, what are you going to do? The safest thing that you could do is take out a sledgehammer and beat it up into a million pieces. That's the only way that you can truly ensure that no one gets access to that, because when you send it off to a repair facility, you don't know who has access to that from there. You want to believe that you can trust, Google or whoever their third-party contractor is to take care of that and to do the right thing. But as this points out, sometimes the wrong thing happens. You just don't know.
Yeah. Oh man,
it's
the world is not. The world disappoints you sometimes. And in the case of like the first one, like where Google claims they didn't receive it, if someone is like, there's also a security level in terms of like, I'm sending it to Google, it better get to them, and you can't account for a shipment or device every step of the way. Packages get stolen, things like that.
Totally.
It just really makes you. Honestly, this is why. I know it's an expensive thing to do this with, but like if a phone breaks for me, I don't try to get it fixed. I just move on to a new one. It's almost got to be disposable hardware in this particular case. Now I end up with a cardboard box full of phones, dead phones in my basement. As you can imagine, Jason, you probably have the same. The ghosts of phones past. Right?
Yeah, right.
but
Exactly.
I sure as hell ain't even given anybody any of my devices to do anything with. You know what I mean? Like it's either I can fix it myself or I'm going to move on, which does get to be expensive, but it sucks if you spend a lot of money and had something break in the first month of owning it or something like that. But still,
Yeah.
I hate RMAs. RMAs are the worst. If you worked in any technology and all that stuff,
Totally agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a break, and we're going to thank our first sponsor because this episode of All About Android is brought to you by our friends at Hover. And it's time to make plans and let Hover help you achieve them. So if you're a blogger, creating a portfolio, building an online store, or you just want to make a more memorable redirect to your LinkedIn page, Hover has the best domain names and email addresses just for you. Email at your domain name is key to connecting with customers and building trust for your brand. They have domain-based emails for all your needs, small or large. And it's so easy to set up. You can add as many mailboxes to your domain as you need. When your domain renews, your mailboxes will too. And the prices are unbeatable. Their most popular mailbox is a no-brainer solution for business owners. You can get access from anywhere, use the email app you're already comfortable with, and if apps aren't your thing, their webmail can be accessed wherever you are. And listen, all through these years of using I was just telling stories about how I've been on the internet since the 90s and all this sort of stuff. And I'm amazed at how hard it was to get a domain purchase and then get email set up back in the day. And it's gotten easier and easier as the years go on. And I've used Hover's tools and I've, looked at what Hover's got to offer. And now it's as easy as ever. And there's really no excuse to get your own custom domain name, have the email that lines up with it. It gives you that level of professionalism, that extra level of trust that your potential customers or associates or even friends can fall into. Nobody just wants a boring email account. You want to have your own custom one and you get it at Hover. And the best thing about Hover is that they're not here to upsell you on stuff you don't need. They just want to help. So when we run down what they've got, they have pro level tools. They have powerful domain and email management tools that are intuitive and easy to use, whether you're a web pro or just getting started. They're private and secure with Whois privacy protection included with your domain purchase. Your private information will remain just that, private. It's a great way to reduce spam and protect yourself from unwanted solicitations. And trust me, that is a must-have. You got to do that. Trust me. I know that by experience. Hover Connect lets you pick the service you want to use to build and host your website. Connect helps you start using your domain name with just a couple of clicks. And at Hover, you're a customer and not a source of data. Take back control of your data with reliable tracker-free email. Hover is trusted by hundreds of thousands of customers who use their domain names and email to turn their ideas into reality. So whether you're a developer, photographer, or small business, Hover is something for you to expand your projects and get the visibility you want. Go to hover.com/twit to get 10% off your first purchase of any domain extension for the entire first year. That's hover.com/twit for 10% off your domain extension for a full year. And we thank Hover for their support. Thanks, Hover, for being awesome. Hooray.
Thank you, Hover. You are awesome. All right.
Indeed.
And so are you for watching and listening and for sticking around, because right now you're going to join us in some hardware talk. Let's do it.
All righty. Well, we have been speculating, I feel like, all year about the future of Wear OS and what it meant for Google and all that sort of stuff. And now it seems as if the Pixel Watch, it's on again.
Oh, it's on.
We'll see. It's on. So a new report
Again.
from Insider says this watch, which is codenamed Rohan, is expected to launch in 2022. It's expected to cost more than a Fitbit, being produced separately from the Fitbit department that Google recently acquired. But this will be the first wearable to integrate Fitbit into Wear OS and compete more directly with the Apple Watch. And also, John Prosser linked some rendered images of the Pixel Watch. Round watch face, rounded edges, bezel-less, very thin. And the question that I know is on your mind, will it have a tensor chip inside of it? I don't know. We'll
I'm
find
curious
out.
about that. Yeah, or maybe. So let's see. So that's not the photo. if you go to the Pocket Lens story that I included and scroll down about halfway down the page, Burke, you'll see a little carousel, and it has 3 very furry, like fuzzy looking, no, so it's not that one. Keep scrolling. It's okay. You'll get there. And in the middle.
So for audio listeners, Burke is navigating the World Wide Web to bring up the image that Jason is interested in showing everyone, which is a photo of the render.
Which is actually, there we go. There we go.
That definitely looks sleek.
That's a beauty of a photo right there.
It's nice and pixely. Yep.
Just look at the clarity of these potato images. But you can your mind and your imagination can fill in the blanks.
It definitely looks like if you said Google was producing an Apple Watch-esque competitor, this is believable in terms of the design. It doesn't look like any of the. It doesn't look like most of the other Android, Wear OS phones that are not phones, watches that are out there. It doesn't look as clunky as other ones. It seems more smoother, almost very rounded. So I think this is believable. Not to make everything all about foldables and things like this, but with this particular thing, the fact that we know that we were speculating that the Pixel foldable was on the verge. It looks like Google's gearing up for something in 2022 with more Pixel-based hardware. The question just be, well, when, right?
Yeah. Well, and very curious. I think the point that you're making, I'm curious to know if they would announce these kind of similar timing, because, rumors are rumors, right? Like earlier this year, there were rumors that were dead certain that by the end of this year we were going to have the Pixel Folds, and we talked about it on the show many times. Like, you never truly know with a rumor. A rumor is not reality. It's to a certain degree, maybe we shouldn't give them as much time on the show as we do, but
it's fun. It's fun.
But it's fun. Yeah. And there is a there. It just might not be the there that you think it is. You know what I mean? Yep. I'm certain that Google has produced this watch and has been working on this watch. Will we actually see it? I mean, we've had many times the last couple of years where it's been certain that we were going to see the Pixel Watch, and it never happened. So this is yet another report that says, oh, well, now it's going to happen in 2022. I certainly hope so. I think it looks like a really sleek watch. If you go back to that carousel, Burke, I don't know if you still have it up, but it has a couple of other images with some arrows on the side. And if you go to the third one, you see a lot more clearly what the watch, kind of the curves of the watch look like. It's a very kind of like glassy looking render that kind of has a sleekness that I haven't really seen in many wearables on the market right now. It's also very, a whole lot of glass right there. So don't slam your wrist into the ground. That thing's going to shatter into a million pieces. Yeah. But it looks sleek.
I do want to admit that we're at a point here, because 2021 comes to an end, that I didn't realize the word bezel would be used so much in common parlance. I mean, I feel like, it's just like the fact that a marketing piece that says bezel-less is just, I find fascinating. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, bezel kind of seemed like a terminology that we were really focused on a couple of years ago, and then kind of dropped off a little bit because it was just like the norm that, devices just kind of moved into this, not completely bezel-less form factor, but mostly. I mean, compared to where they used to be, you remember when smartphones had chins that big on the top and the bottom? So yes, we aren't there anymore, thankfully. It means we have large displays, and in the case of this watch, we don't have things like flat tires that the Moto 360 had.
You hated that flat tire. You still hate that flat tire.
No, that flat tire, I'm happy that was a trend that went away. It just looked wrong. It did not work for me. Last week, Qualcomm announced its next-gen premium system on a chip. We talked about it very briefly on the show, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. And just to kind of clarify, the 8 Gen 1 is the next version of something like the 888 or, any of the other premium Snapdragon processors that year after year you get so used to hearing about being in the top-of-line smartphones. Next year, that's going to be Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. They're kind of changed the nomenclature of it a little bit. A day after the show, this show actually, last week, so on Wednesday, Qualcomm unveiled the Snapdragon G3x chip and Android gaming platform. And this is interesting. We had heard a little bit of rumors here and there about a Razer handheld device. And sure enough, that's kind of tied with this. The platform itself supports games up to 144 frames per second, outputs to a 4K display if you want. It can tether to mixed reality devices like a headset via USB-C. It integrates Snapdragon sound to give it better audio quality on wireless headphones. But then it had this launch device that we're talking about here to show it all off. This is Razer's collaboration with Qualcomm. It's a dev kit handheld gaming device. So I'm not sure that this is necessarily a device that you're going to walk into a store and buy, but it's a developer kit. They want to kind of build out this ecosystem a little bit. It's a partnership with Qualcomm on the dev kit. It's not a Razer device, and Razer even reiterated that this is not a Razer device. This is a collaboration with Qualcomm. This is their device. But the device itself, 6.65-inch OLED display, 120 hertz, 5-megapixel camera on the front. With that 5-megapixel camera, you can live stream your face while you're playing. So that's one feature, I suppose. 6 gigs of RAM, support for Wi-Fi 6 and 6E, and Bluetooth 5.3. Just name a few features. Really looks like a Nintendo Switch-ish without the removable controllers, but kind of like a Nintendo Switch ecosystem running Android. Yeah, so people seemed excited about it. I'm kind of still on the fence on this, but I'm curious to see it. What do you think?
I find it fascinating that they'd partner with Razer on a development kit with no plans beyond that. Or no plans that we know of. That's weird. I think the live stream on your face while you play is weird. But I get it now. I understand why. That appeals to certain people who want to stream to their Twitch channel and play mobile games, and having it embedded into the camera or into the mobile device. It never ends. Where was that chat? Someone in chat, Low5 actually in Discord said it's going to have to be priced well to compete with the Steam Deck. That's another portable device. It kind of seems like we're on the precipice right now of, the Nintendo Switch really did a good job of kind of showing people what a really powerful and enjoyable mobile device could be in the modern kind of gameplay era. And then now we've got other mobile only devices coming out, like the Steam Deck, potentially this platform. So it's kind of interesting to see this whole area develop. I don't know that any of them get close to the Nintendo Switch as far as from a success standpoint, but we'll see. Right. Well, yeah. I mean, because you have the brand recognition there with Nintendo. Yeah, which is totally. Nintendo has Nintendo. Even though that Switch under the hood is running Android, right? So it's or a flavor of it, a version of it, but it's still it has hardware similar. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So fascinating. I definitely see the gaming. The world of mobile gaming is developing, and it's the kind of the next big, if you were in that business, I feel like it's the next big kind of venture is to go, like all the stuff that we've been doing with computers and consoles and stuff like that. It's getting smaller into these kind of devices. These handheld devices are going to get that much more ubiquitous, and it's probably the next step before true virtual or AR or immersive meta, whatever the hell you want to call it, all that sort of stuff that happens. No, I mean, it's real. It's coming, but this step has to happen first, So fascinating stuff. All right. Well, to round things out here, as we chat about hardware, we got some interesting smartphone designs from some friendly faces. First up is the TCL Fold and Slide 10-inch device, which unfolds like the Samsung Z Fold, and then slides out of the side for an even larger 10-inch tablet.
Look at it go.
And this isn't the first time we've seen this design, right, Jason? We've seen this before in prototypes and things like that, but it's the first time we've seen it in a consumer friendly, kind of a brand like TCL.
I feel like we've seen the slide and we've seen the fold, but have we seen the fold and then slide? Like the both of them?
I think we did.
Did we? Okay, if we did, I forgot.
Like a year or two, but I might be wrong. But yeah, the fold and slide is impressive. I will say, and for our video watchers who just watched the video of it, the unfolding does take its time.
Oh boy, yeah,
to real fold out there. Yeah, it's kind of you just gotta wait as it folds.
And the UI, it kind of clunks into place. You're
exactly.
waiting, and then it goes.
It would be cool if the screen while folding was active, but it's dark, and then it's not until it's fully folded does the screen snap back and give it to you, and then when you unfold it, it snaps back into the smaller aspect ratio and pulls in. This is neat, and it's brand new, but it might need a little work. But I do like it. I do like the direction they're going in. So
something like that needs Google to continue to do what they're doing around foldables and Android, and like true integration and true kind of working on things underneath the hood, so that the OEMs themselves don't have to come up with their own method and settle for this like chunk factor approach. And I think Google's working on that. I don't know if they've thought about this particular use case, but I mean, if they get it right, that will not be weird.
This is wacky as heck.
Yeah.
Anyway, and our next phone comes from our good friends at Oppo, who tweeted about their upcoming pop-out camera, but not in a way that we've seen before. On the rear-facing camera, the lens pops out away from the camera housing, and they will show more of this at Inno World next week. But yeah, if you had on your bingo card a camera that comes out of the bezel, out of the body, I did not, but there it is, and they show it dropping, and then it retracts back in before it lands, which is interesting. It's a neat little bit of function. I'm sure there's a reason why they do that, but we'll see.
I mean, to a certain degree, we're used to seeing actual cameras do this to a degree, right? Like
so why wouldn't we
extend the lens out? I wonder if it's tied into the zoom. Like when you zoom into something, does the lens pop out, and then when you zoom out, does the lens go in? I don't know, but it's interesting nonetheless. Looks a little bit nicer than the like robot eye that pops out of the top of the frame of some smartphones to give you a pop-out camera.
I will say kudos to the Oppo marketing copywriter for the tweet text that actually said, most pop-ups are annoying, but not our self-developed retractable camera. Wink emoji.
Wink.
Oh, Oppo, you're so fun and playful with your little...
You're good. You're good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that. I'm sure we'll have more information about that next week. All right. We're going to get into a ton of feedback, a lot of your feedback coming up next. But first, this podcast is supported by AT&T. It's 2021. I mean, it's almost 2022, but it's still 2021. We're living in the future. People can acquire self-driving cars. You can eat burgers made out of plants. You can even fly to space in rocket ships if you happen to have the money for it, of course. So if you can do all this futuristic stuff right now, today, the very least your phone could do is just, stream a show without having it lag, at least. Come on. And that lag happening over and over again. Why? For that, you should get AT&T 5G. AT&T 5G is fast, it's reliable, it's secure, it makes it easy to download entertainment in a flash, stay connected across the city, of course, and helps keep your device protected even from spam calls. If you want to make sure your phone service keeps up with what you need from it, well, get AT&T 5G. It's not complicated. 5G requires a compatible plan, may not be in your area. See AT&T.com/5G for you for details. And we thank AT&T for their support of this show. All right, it's feedback time. AAA@twit.tv, 347-SHOW-AAA. That's going to come in real handy a little bit later in the show.
I like to revel in the community. Like we're having a conversation here as if we're all hanging out talking
Totally.
at Android, at the Android tavern. We're all chatting it up. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
We're not here because we know everything. We're just here because
Right.
we enjoy talking about everything. So
Exactly.
There it
Never claim to know everything. In fact, sometimes purposely not know enough so you can correct us. So.
yeah, we appreciate when you do. Jared wrote in, first email, says, I'm searching for a new TV. I've settled on the TCL 55-inch 6 series. I didn't really want a Roku TV, but it seems like they have taken over the TV software market. Well, lo and behold, there are two options for this TV. One with Roku TV and one with Google TV. The 55R635 is the Roku version. The 55R646, the Google version. My whole family uses Pixel phones. I'm thinking that getting the Google TV version is the way that I should go. And editorial note, I think you are right. Jared says, I've never used Google TV before. Is their software solid these days? Anything I should be aware of? Going to the Google TV software from the dumb, non-smart TV I've had for years. I assume Chromecast should work better than the dongle version we've been using. So I'm going to stop there and then I'll read the rest in a second. Anything you should be aware of going to the Google TV software from a dumb, non-smart TV that you've had for years? I mean, I don't have Google TV on my device downstairs. I have an NVIDIA Shield, which has Android TV on it, so it's not quite Google TV, and they are different, even though they really should be the same. But I would say the general caution when this is baked into the TV is that eventually that software will be outdated. Like eventually the hardware inside the TV, it's like the software moves on from the hardware. So it's, best case scenario, it's almost best to have a dumb TV and then to get a set-top box, because then you can refresh the set-top box when you really need to. Would you agree with that, Ron, or do you feel differently about that?
100%. I've told the story on the show before, but early days at Revision 3, when I worked at Revision 3 alongside Patrick Norton, friend of the show, Patrick Norton, we had him and Robert Heron and myself and Roger Chang and all the great gang over there. We talked a lot about TVs, and Roku was starting to come out, and Apple TV had just come out, and set-top boxes and all this sort of stuff. And I remember it was Patrick who said, always buy a dumb monitor, and that way you can plug whatever you want into it, and you'll never be beholden to having to update the software on the TV or anything like that. And I followed that. I followed that best I can. It's very hard these days to find a TV without smart TV sort of stuff, to the point where I have a smart TV. I have a Samsung frame that I have a Chromecast with Google TV plugged into it. I don't use any of the Samsung smart TV functions because previously I bought a Vizio that I was like, I bought a Vizio that has Chromecast plugged into it, like integrated into it. I won't need the dongle. How great is that? And then Vizio never updated that version of Chromecast on that TV ever again. Like, so this is what happens. So like, I definitely go by the adage of buy a TV and plug stuff into it. So.
Yeah, if you can. I mean, having said that, like, I actually really do like Google TV software and Android TV software. Yeah. I as an Android user, I like it. Like, I think it does it well. But, you just might run into a situation somewhere down the line where, like, it's not being updated anymore. And that's just the reality, the stupid reality of smart TVs today, I feel like. And I don't know how it compares to Roku TV. I've never had a Roku TV. Apparently they're good. Apparently people like them. But I don't know how it compares. I can't directly compare between the two personally. Now, continuing with your email, Jared, you said, side note, in case you have Robert Heron on, as Ron just mentioned, Robert Heron. He says, does the Google version really not have Dolby Vision, HDR10, hybrid log gamma that the Roku version has? Am I giving up video quality on the set just to get Google's service instead of Roku's? And to that, Jared, I say, good news. I read the PC Mag article review, very glowing review of the Google TV version of this device. And it spells out specifically, it does support HDR10, it does support Dolby Vision, and it supports HLG. So you're good. You're in the clear. So I think if you're going between those two devices, you have Pixel phones. I mean, I don't see why you go with Roku unless there's a specific reason that you're like, no, but I love Roku and it's for this very reason. Like, go Google TV.
I would like to add something.
Happy. Yeah,
I have a Hisense Roku TV, and it's totally different. I mean, they hide. If you're like a person who likes to mess with advanced controls, the Roku version is horrible at that. You have to jump through all these hoops to use it. So if you want to use all these features and have control over them, don't get the Roku TV. No matter
Interesting.
What brand. Yeah, because I have HDR10 and Dolby Vision on my TV, and it's like you have to use the app, the Roku app, on your phone to change some of the advanced features. You cannot change any of them on the TV. You can change some, but not all, and that's just like infuriating.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly inconvenient, but you do have access to changing those features if you really need to.
Theoretically. Yes, most of them. I still haven't been able to get the Roku app. I gave up. I just like it just making my blood pressure go crazy. And I'm just like, okay, I don't need to turn down one thing, and it's just obnoxious.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Burke.
Sure.
That's super useful. So there you go, Jared. I hope that convinces you one way or the other, or maybe at the end of this, you're like, oh, maybe I'll just keep searching for a dumb TV. It's up to you. But
I feel like we are definitely. I mean, I don't buy new TVs often. I bought that Vizio I mentioned back in 2016 or something like that, and then I bought the Samsung frame, a little less than a year ago. So every 4 years or so. But in shopping for TVs and browsing and even walking around Best Buy and things like that, it does feel like we are entering in bloatware mode with TVs, and have been there for a while. I think my in-laws got LG smart TVs and are using the smart TV stuff in there, and I'm going through and I'm seeing what was already been installed and logging them into Hulu, logging them into HBO Max. They use YouTube TV, and just the navigation, there's so much noise there and there's so much stuff going on with it. It doesn't feel great to me. It doesn't feel elegant these days.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and things start to get slow. Yeah, we've got a Samsung TV downstairs. At this point, I think it's 3 years old. Gosh, it feels like just yesterday. And now suddenly it's 3 years old. And I mean, there are times, where I try and pull up the menu and it's it waits for 2 seconds.
You know what, though?
It appears,
there is a silver lining, though. Because if he's not used to any other smart TV, any of them are great, especially compared to the smart features of your cable box, for example. Just using the menu on my cable box is agonizing. Even for the same apps, it's crazy. And then I go to the smart TV version of Netflix, and it's instantaneous.
Wow.
So
interesting. There you go.
So, all right. Our next email comes from Matt Connington, who says, "Hey, AAA crew. I wanted to share a Google Assistant issue with you and see if you personally see it or have heard of others seeing this. As of late, when Assistant pops up one of these reminder cards for a birthday, like the one attached, he sent an example, it is always 1 day behind in the details shown on the card. This happens every single time. It certainly erodes at the confidence in such reminders for Assistant to be so consistently inaccurate. Thanks, love the show." And he sent a screenshot where you can see this. And here in the calendar, you see he's pointing out that somebody's birthday's on December 6th, and then getting an Assistant note saying, "Hey, birthday's today," and it's showing up that it's yesterday. I have not gotten this because I don't have birthdays plugged into my calendar, and I actually have never gotten this notification before, but that is completely not helpful at all. Jason, have you run into this? Have you seen this? Or?
I have not run into this specific issue. I'm actually always trying to figure out how I do a better job of remembering birthdays, to be honest. And this is kind of making me think maybe the Google Assistant isn't the best way to remember people's birthdays, because I want to get better at reaching out to people. It used to be that Facebook was the way that I would track this stuff, but not being on Facebook, now it's entirely in my hands. It's not done.
And I got to tell you, as someone who is on Facebook and still does get the notifications, I find myself, I've actually not been wishing people happy birthday, because it just feels like I'm hyper aware of the fact that the last time I interacted with them was a year ago, telling them happy birthday, right? Like, and I'm like, oh, I got to say something different. I got to say something different than I've done in the last 5 years. And like, yeah, so it's I don't know, it's a mess. Time is not a friend. So
No, just keeps on ticking, doesn't it? Into the future.
It does.
And then we also heard, or rather I heard back from a friend of the show last week's email of the week, celebrity email of the week. Was it last week or the week before?
No, it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. 2 or 3 weeks ago.
2 or 3 weeks ago. Sorry, not last week, but a few weeks ago. Jeff Jarvis wrote in to say, God bless the net. Someone found the solution. It's a bit overwritten here, amounts to hitting one button once, but that unleashed the digital constipation of my head unit, and Android Auto proceeded apace. And basically what he's talking about, he had written in a couple of weeks ago about the fact that on his Pixel 6 Pro, Android 12 was not working with his Android Auto head unit in his vehicle. And it turned out he was not alone. Well, apparently the solution, at least the near-term solution, the short-term solution before it gets officially fixed, is once he's in the vehicle, you can press the voice command button, and then you wait for Google Assistant to kick in, and then you just say cancel. And when you press that voice command button, it's like that kicks off the sync between the device and the Android Auto in the vehicle. And Jeff says it works now. So it's basically you have to remember when you first get in the vehicle and turn it on to hit your voice command button inside the vehicle, and then just say cancel. And that like establishes the connection that's missing right now with Android Auto and Android 12 devices.
Fascinating.
So it's a little hacky. I mean, but it's not difficult. Just remember to do that, and whatever. No big deal. Of course, it would be better if it just worked. That would be better.
True. That's a good point. Very good point.
Someday. All right, let's take a break. Thank the sponsor of this episode, and then we will get to a few more of your emails coming up next. This episode of All About Android is brought to you by userway.org. And we've talked so much about accessibility on this show, on the network. It's super important, right? Because not everybody has the ability to experience technology and experience the internet in the same way as everyone else. Well, UserWay is powering that behind the scenes. It's amazing. Their vision is one that we really connect with here at Twit. Every website, without exception, needs to be accessible because it's a public entity. And, it also happens to be the right thing to do. UserWay has an incredible AI-powered solution that tirelessly enforces the hundreds of WCAG guidelines. All you need is just one single line of JavaScript. And with that, UserWay can achieve more than an entire team of developers. It's basically working behind the scenes to bring your site up to this accessibility standard. It makes your website accessible. And if you're not using something like UserWay, that can be really overwhelming. But UserWay's solution, as I said, it's super simple. It's easy. It's cost effective. You can check out, they actually have a free scanning tool so you can see if your website is ADA compliant. Then you know that you need it. UserWay's AI and machine learning solutions power accessibility for over 1 million websites, trusted by Coca-Cola, Disney, eBay, FedEx, many other leading brands as well. And now UserWay is making its best-in-class enterprise-level accessibility tools available to small and medium-sized businesses. Operating an accessible and compliant website isn't just the right thing to do, right? It also makes business sense because millions of people will require UserWay just to purchase your products. If your site is not set up for all of those people, you're going to lose out. You're missing out on potential opportunity, potential purchases, potential exposure. And when you need to scale, you need UserWay. For years, UserWay has been on the cutting edge. They've been creating innovative accessibility technologies that really push the envelope of what's possible with AI, with machine learning and computer vision. UserWay's AI automatically fixes violations at the code level. It does it automatically. It's pretty awesome, actually. Here's just a few things that it can do for you. UserWay can auto-generate image alts. So that's writing image descriptions for you. So you don't need to go through there and write those by hand. That could take forever. It remediates complex navigation menus, which can really be just an Achilles heel for companies. UserWay ensures that all pop-ups are accessible. It fixes vague link violations and fixes any broken links. It also ensures your website makes use of accessible colors while remaining true to your brand. And UserWay gives you a detailed report of all the violations that were fixed on your website. UserWay is platform agnostic, so whether you're using WordPress or Shopify or Wix, you can easily add UserWay. It's not difficult at all to do that. And the same goes for AEM, Sitecore, SharePoint. I mean, UserWay integrates seamlessly with all of them. Let UserWay help your business meet its compliance goals and improve the experience for your users. And actually, we happen to have the voice of Siri here. She has a message about UserWay.
Hi, I'm Susan Bennett, the original voice of Siri. You won't hear me say something like this too often. I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're looking for. But every day, that's what the internet is like for millions of people with disabilities. UserWay fixes all of that with just one line of code.
That's right. UserWay can make any website fully accessible and ADA compliant. With UserWay, everyone who visits your site can browse seamlessly and customize it to fit their needs. It's also a perfect way to showcase your brand's commitment to millions of people with disabilities. Go to userway.org/twit. You'll get 30% off UserWay's AI-powered accessibility solution. UserWay, making the internet accessible for everyone. Visit userway.org/twit today, and we thank UserWay for their support. All right, back to it. AAA at twit.tv, 347-SHOW-AAA. Ron, you got the next one.
So many emails, so little time. Our next one up is from Robert Graham, who says, so after listening to the show about the rattling Pixel 6 Pro, I had to test it for myself, and sure enough, it rattles, and I can't stop hearing it. So I asked myself, do other phones do this too? My daughter has a OnePlus 8T, and to my surprise, it rattles, although you have to shake it from front to back instead of side to side. Then I grabbed my son's Pixel 4 and tried shaking it. Oh my goodness, it makes the rattle too. How have I never known this before? Thanks for making my commutes to the office more enjoyable. You're welcome, Robert, and we're sorry that you'll never be able to not hear the rattle ever again. Oh, the rattle.
No, the Pixel 5 doesn't rattle.
Yeah.
What else do we have here? I'm so curious. So let's see here. This is the Galaxy Note. Oh,
the poor rattle.
I know.
Shake, rattle, and roll.
No.
Nope.
It's very faint. I can hear. Anyways, I won't go through all the phones in my drawer, but apparently lots of phones do this. Has something to do with the optical image stabilization. At least that was Leo's idea on that, and that actually makes sense because OIS that's kind of what it does, right? It's able to kind of shift around in the mechanism to keep things stable. So don't worry, don't freak out and think that rattle means something bad. It just is what it is.
And once you hear it, you can never not hear it again, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's hard to unhear. It's difficult to unhear, that's for sure.
Yep.
Let's see here. This is a little bit long one, but interesting. Claire writes in to say, hold on, my computer's freezing up on me. As a longtime iOS user, I decided to switch this year to the Pixel 6 as my first Android experience and daily driver. I'm very happy with this device and the operating system, but I get a notification from Google after every phone call asking me to help them improve system logs, transcripts, audio, etc., etc. I cannot find a way to turn this off. Is this expected of the Android experience? I hate to say it, but being bugged to fill out a survey every time I end a call isn't the kind of software liberation I was in search of when I stepped out of Apple's walled garden. I've turned off all assistant notifications off, and I seem to be unable to adjust any phone notifications. Is this just part of the Android experience? If so, this is a huge annoyance and bummer. I want Google services to improve, but I don't want them bugging me about it every time I end a call on my device. Anyway, I hate to treat you guys like tech support, but I wondered if anyone else has struggled with it. Maybe there's an easy solution I just keep missing. Love the show. Good to have you here, Claire. Thank you for emailing in. I don't know that I necessarily have a solution for you because I don't know of one to that other than when it asks, when I've seen those messages, if there's an opportunity to say no, never, or like I'm trying to remember that one. I know I've seen these before, but I don't see them again. So I must be doing something in the process to say, no, don't show me this again. Don't ask me again. but I can't remember the prompt specifically, so I can't give you any direct advice on this. Have you seen this before, Ron?
I don't know if I have, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. And what's so funny is that, like, this reminds me of the fact that so much happens on the phone. And Jason, I was complaining about this to you over text a couple of days ago. Like, so much happens while you're using the phone that just gets barked at you. And I find myself dismissing or doing things without knowing the full ramification of what it is. So, like, not to take away from Claire's issue, but like my issue has been, like, as I picked up the Pixel 6 and go to make a phone call, and like, it's the kind of thing where, like, I've got 2 minutes in between meetings. I need to call the place I had ordered my new doorknobs from to see if it was in or whatever. And I open up the phone app, and at the bottom of the phone app, I get hit with a notification about some feature of the new Pixel phone. And it's like, agree, disagree, or enable on it. And I'm tapping to get it away because I'm rushed to make a phone call. And then I was like, oh wait, what did I just dismiss? So I don't even know to kind of the potential of what I could do, or what I've turned off, or what I've turned on, or whatnot. And it gets hard to keep track of that stuff.
Yeah, and as we're talking about it, I am remembering that in the phone app, I have had a number of pop-ups that happen when I'm inside of the apps. You know, like spam blocking is a feature. Do you want to take a look at the settings? You know, little things like that on their surface, like, sure, that's useful for someone who might not know about it, but it's also kind of inconvenient. It also really reminds me of Samsung and how Samsung devices, when you get a new Samsung device, it's the worst because they can do a million things. Like, Samsung's known for just throwing all sorts of functionality in their device, which is fine. That's great. They can do a lot of things, but they really want you to know that they can do a lot of things. So every other corner that you turn on your device is like, oh, and by the way, did you know that you could blah, blah, blah? Here, push this and we'll take you into settings and you can activate it. And it just gets really really grating over time. And eventually you walk through all of those gates and you don't have to walk through them again, but it takes a little time, and that's really annoying. And I see that in what Google's doing with some of their apps here, and I think that's exactly what Claire is talking about. And it is frustrating.
Yeah, so it's very frustrating. It's very discouraging because then you're not even aware of what's able to do it or not. But
and it's like, I don't care. Right now, I don't care. I just want to make my call, okay?
So I feel like we're not helping Claire, but I kind of want to dig into this a little bit. Maybe we dig into it this week and return with a tech support answer if Claire can wait another week. But I feel like there's got to be some way to solve for this, right?
I mean, I don't know. Like, to my mind, what's worked for me is just, like I said, walking through those gates once and saying no or dismissing it, and they don't come back for me. And maybe that's different from what Claire is experiencing. If every single time Claire is ending a call, like Burke just said in Slack, you have to suffer through it. That's kind of been my approach. It's like, oh, there it is again. Okay, dismiss, go away. And eventually they stop coming up because I've seen them all. You know, but I don't know if Claire's issue is that it's the same thing that keeps coming back. I don't know how you solve that. That doesn't sound like it should be that way. Yeah, it sounds
it's frustrating.
Yeah, frustrating. But yeah, if anyone has any insight into this, we would love to hear it. AAA@twit.tv. Send us an email and let us know. We're certainly not alone. There are people in chat, and especially Burke in Slack, saying, yes, this happens to me all the time. Burke also wondered if you were, Claire, if you were on Google Fi, if maybe that had something to do with it. I don't know.
I hate that the answer is yes, this happens all the time and you have to suffer through it. Like, that's not fair. That's not right. Like, that's
no, totally. It isn't. Yeah. But I don't really know what the alternative is. I don't think that there's a feature in there that says turn off all tips, you know?
Right. It's weird.
I don't think there is.
You know, but as Burke says in chat also, I've been getting more with Android 12 recently, and I have too, like in various places like this. So I definitely think it's something, to your point, Jason, that will go away after time. So
yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully indeed. All right, and on to our last one of the week. And as you know, the last one usually is the special one, but this one is extra special because not only is it one that we're going to celebrate, but it's actually the voicemail of the week. And I do got to say, I really, truly do wish more of you would submit audio voice messages or video messages, because the extra a little more, it livens it up a bit. So I want to thank in advance the recipient of this week's voicemail of the week, our good friend Tim from Toledo, who calls in. I like to pretend like we're a talk radio show. Who calls in with a voicemail about Android Auto and assistant driving mode. Burke, roll the voicemail of the week.
Hi, this is Tim from Toledo. I just got a new Pixel 6 Pro, and when I upgraded to Android 12 and upgrading to the Pixel 6 Pro, it now eliminates Android Auto as an app on your phone, meaning you can't use your phone as a display anymore. It converts to Google Assistant driving mode, which I do not like. At any rate, I was just wondering if you'd run into the same problem, and you cannot use your phone as a display and Bluetooth in your car now. It goes to this, like I said, Google Assistant driving mode, and it's not as good as Android Auto. And I was wondering if you knew why Google did this and why it's happening, and I'm really frustrated, and I would hope you'd have some answers. I hope this is concise enough for you to talk about on the show. Thanks.
Thanks for keeping it concise. Yeah, I mean, we have definitely talked about this to some degree on the show before, but just to kind of reiterate, Android 12 removes Android Auto compatibility or the Android Auto on the phone experience, and you're left with assistant driving mode.
Yeah.
Don't know what to tell you. That's the way it is.
Got to suffer through it.
Maybe that's the title. That's even
Android, gotta suffer through it.
Isn't Android great? You just gotta suffer through it. Oh man, but it's true. I mean, I'm trying to remember, because you have Android Auto head unit in your car, right? I've got the Subaru Starlink, which has Android Auto as an app within the head unit. Okay, all right.
But
so have you even had to use the assistant driving mode very much at all?
No,
or has
never
had to use it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I end up using it because I use maps a lot. And that's the thing about assistant driving mode, is assistant driving mode just kind of comes up by default now when you're using maps and navigating somewhere. It's like it's basically just extra features inside of the map app that pull in, controls for whatever you happen to be playing music wise. I mean, it's really basic. I mean, you can you can launch other things through it, but yeah, it's just, I don't know. I guess I kind of understand why Google did it. They wanted to simplify certain things, or they wanted to just place more of a spotlight on Assistant, as they have been wont to do in the past many years. But I think people are pretty disappointed in the step down in feature set between the two.
100%. Everything that we've seen from this is not, I've not seen anybody who's been like, this is the change I've been waiting for. Like, this has definitely been not well received. That's for sure. So,
yeah. So, I mean, there's not a whole lot that you can do about it. I mean, I don't know. I wonder if someone on XDA or something has taken the APK, the old APK for Android Auto for phone screens, and made it so that it, forced it to work on the Pixel 6, but I haven't heard of that. So I don't know what to tell you. I guess you just got to suffer through it, as they say on this show many times today. I'm sorry, Tim. But that's that.
Oh, man. That's that indeed.
Thank you for being the voicemail of the week. I'm sorry I couldn't be more cheery.
I want more voicemails of the week, please.
Yeah. 347-SHOW-AAA. Or like Ron said, you could record a video and send us an email, AAA@twit.tv. Yeah. That works too. All right, we've reached the end of this episode of All About Android. It's been a whole lot of fun hanging out with you, Ron. It always is. What do you want to leave people with? What do you want people to know?
I just want to leave with, the holidays are coming. Be good to one another. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RonXO. And that's been it. We're getting close to the end of the year, and it's hard to believe. It's like rolling downhill fast. So
Yeah, it really is. I feel it now too. I'm feeling a little of that like holiday scramble.
Like, I know that feeling.
Getting tired earlier and everything. Yep. Yeah,
it's getting darker earlier. Although I successfully got I got the Christmas lights up in the house. We're doing pretty good. We got a tree last weekend. We're checking all the boxes. So yeah.
Good. You're listening to your Phil Spector holiday album.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I will say, I will give my son's preferred Christmas song at the moment is "Jingle Bells" by Frank Sinatra, which he demands that version. So yeah, so
good version.
Kids got taste. So
hey kid, you got good taste, kid.
And he called Jeff Jarvis a bum too, I think.
No, he loves Jeff Jarvis. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ron. Thank you, Burke, for pitching in today and for all the technical stuff behind the scenes. Thank you, Victor, for editing and putting this show out for people in their podcast feed. Appreciate that. You can just find me on Tech News Weekly. You can find me on Twitter at Jason Howell. Not a whole lot new to report there. Club Twit, if you didn't know, that's our ad-free subscription tier of Twit. Basically, if you subscribe to Club Twit, you get all of our shows with the ads removed. That includes this ad for Club Twit. This ad is removed. You also get an exclusive Twit Plus podcast feed, tons of extra content. Ant Pruitt, who's the community manager at Club Twit, is killing it right now with lots of just fun AMAs and special content. We're pulling moments from before and after the shows, putting them on the feed. It's just really great. And members only Discord, all for $7 a month. So go to twit.tv/clubtwit and you can join the club. And that's it for this week's episode of All About Android. We've got some really great episodes coming up here in the next couple of weeks. The return of someone who you've been waiting to see for a little while.
Ooh.
Just gonna say that. This podcast publishes every Tuesday evening. Subscribe at twit.tv/AAA. And that's really all there is to it. We'll see you next time on All About Android. Take care of yourselves. Bye, everybody.
Good night, my friends.
Hey, you don't have to wait till the weekend to get the tech news you need. Join Jason Howell and myself, Micah Sargent, for Tech News Weekly, where we talk to and about the people making and breaking the tech news.